Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Home Service Heartbeat podcast. I'm Joe Crisara, America's Service Coach. Today, I'm joined by Dan Foley, Foley Mechanical, who specializes in working with older homes and custom architect-driven residences, delivering tailored HVAC solutions that respect unique designs and historic details, and everybody else who lives in the vicinity of Herndon, Virginia as well. Dan, welcome to the show and thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate you having you here.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. So, Dan, this show is really about you and your team. We're doing this so I can learn more about you and as well as the people in the vicinity of Northern Virginia near Herndon, Virginia. Can you share about how you got started in the service industry and what led to your job here and your ownership of your company here at Foley Mechanical?
Yeah, certainly. So I started out summer of 1986 as a truck driver at Arlington Heating and Air, an old line company based in Arlington, Virginia. I
Mhm.
worked the summer as a helper and a truck driver for 2 summers. And then after I graduated, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I decided one more summer wouldn't hurt. Well, that was 40 years ago, and I'm still here.
Nice. And so it kind of had a calling to you, it kind of drew you into it, I guess, the service business, huh? Is your family involved in all in the service at all of any kind? Where did you get that kind of like a feeling like you wanted to serve other people? Because a lot of times people just want to work as an engineer or want to work with just the machine part, but it sounds like you are valuing the service to other people. And tell us a little bit about how that got ingrained into you.
Yeah, certainly. So, first off, my family's not involved. My father was in the military. He was in the Marine Corps for 32 years, retired now. And so my second family were the owners of Arlington Heating and Air. I look them as second set of parents because they were so good to me.
Mm,
And they paired me with skilled technicians. One I'm still in touch with to this day, Doug Ashwood. I was his helper and I could see he was a craftsman and I could learn from him. And
hmm
I was always, I was always technically skilled, but I didn't know the knowledge that he had. And I learned from him and I really enjoyed doing it. And even though I had a college degree, I love doing it. So I started out as a helper, truck driver. I moved up to an installer. Then I was a service tech, and that was really my calling. Service tech was solving problems, walking into a system in a cold house or a hot house, and walking away with it working with a satisfied customer. And when the customer started calling and requesting me, I realized that that's something I was good at doing. Maybe not the best, but I was good at it, and I did that for 10 years at Arlington Heating.
what did you feel about that part of it? That when you got out there and you got this job and you start being a technician, how important is it that the relationship you create with people? I know you have a relationship. It sounds like you got your knowledge of heating and air conditioning. And by the way, your family was involved with service. 32 years of service to our country. That's not bad. That's not nothing to scoff at. That's great. But nonetheless, tell us about the relationship with people. That it sounds like you and the relationship you have with the people you work with. That's one of the things you value the most. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so no, I really enjoyed doing that, meeting the people, having them place trust in you. And once that was done, they would go with your recommendation. But if you didn't build that trust, even if you technically could solve the problem, they weren't going to go with you. And I learned that pretty quick because I knew I didn't have the technical skills, but I could connect with people, connect with the customers. And the technical part you can learn. It's the other skills that are hard to learn. And I could see that we had a technician that was very skilled technically, but was very gruff and he couldn't get along with the customers. Well, he
Mm,
didn't last very long. Other
mhm.
technicians I learned from, one in particular, Ed Irvin, who really was not the most technically skilled guy, but the customers absolutely loved him. As a matter of
Mm.
fact, when I first started running service calls, the customer would answer the door and say, "You're not Ed Irvin," and slam the door in my face because they trusted him so much. And I learned that. And I didn't take it in a negative way. I learned that they really knew him and trusted him, but he wasn't here forever. He retired. But I learned so much from him is that it's more important to build that trust with the clients, and the technical skills will follow. You can always
That's
call for technical help. You can't call for help if the customer throws you out the door.
so it's just good people serving other good people. Is that's what your philosophy is? One of those philosophies
Yeah,
there?
absolutely. And that's what I enjoyed the most about it. And again, I was there for total 15 years. I ran service for 10 years, but I was there for a total of 15 years. And then I left there in 2002 to start my own company.
Well, when you did start your own company, you went from technician to put on your entrepreneurial hat and started this business at Foley Mechanical. Tell us about some of the challenges you had as you were starting this business. Some of the things that are, what are some of the things that are the most challenging for a company like yours when doing comfort for the community of Northern Virginia?
Yeah, absolutely. So there were a lot of challenges, but moving back to Arlington Heating, I was a service tech for 10 years. In the last 3 to 5 years, I was the service manager and then operations manager. So I knew the technical side of it. I knew how to put the equipment in, how to run the crews. This is what I didn't know, how to run a business. My
Mm.
boss, Tom Croker, who I consider, like I said, it's Tom and Linda Croker, my
Hmm.
bosses there, like a second set of parents to me. They ran the company, but I didn't appreciate what they did because I never did it. I just figured he sat in his office all day and counted his money. What did I know? Until I started my company. And the first thing I did is I went to the bank and I wanted a loan for $200,000.
Hmm.
And this is a bank I did business with for close to with my entire adult life, 15 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember them saying, "How long have you been in business?" I said, "About 2 weeks." And they said, "Come see us in 2 years." So I had no clue about that part of it, working capital. Then I went to my supply house, and they all knew me there because I did business with them for 15 years. They knew me, and my first big job, I placed an order, and let's just say round numbers. This was a while ago, so I don't remember the numbers. It was like a $10,000 order, and I said, "Well, that's fine. Go ahead and put it on my account." And they said, "What account?" You don't have an account. You don't have an account. Arlington Heating had an account. You don't have an account. You can pay cash, check, or credit card. Pick one. And Joe, I didn't have two nickels to rub together. And I had no clue. I had a contract. I had a job to do, and I couldn't buy the equipment because I didn't have the working capital to do it. And
Hmm.
it's the case where I was going to be profitable because I had no overhead, but I had no cash to buy the materials to put the stuff in. And I
Nice.
just assumed that these supply houses would open an account for you. I didn't know there's credit apps and credit checks and the whole 9 yards. And
Hmm.
so that was a real eye opener for me, the business side of it. I had no idea how to run a business.
What would you like your clients of Foley Mechanical to know about the difficulty of running a business like that? What would you say that you'd like them if you could say something to your clients to let them know that the business isn't just like you sitting in your office collecting money. Tell us a little bit about something you like your clients to know about what it really takes to run the business. If they could take a look at it that they may not know, things that they should know that they may not know.
Well, the first thing is that don't open the door unless the technician coming in is qualified to do the work and has the right people skills to take care of them. The other thing I want them to understand is the cost of running a business because there's nothing that I sell that they can't go online and find in 30 seconds to a minute. Okay.
Mhm,
They can
mhm,
plug the model number and serial number, part number, whatever it is, they can find that. Okay. So let's just say the widget, the motor I'm going to put in is $235. That's the cost. And they
mhm,
freak out when they see the bill is $1,100, $1,200. They all they see is the cost of that motor. They don't see the skill of ordering the right motor. Maybe the skill of the technician to put it in properly. Maybe it's an ECM motor that needs to be programmed properly. So there's skills beyond just that box on your doorstep. And so I have an answer for them when they fuss about the price and they say, "Well, I can get anybody to do it." My answer is, "Well, then call the internet because if you buy on the internet, call the internet. But if you want the skill and service to put it in, then you're gonna have to pay the cost." And then I try to educate them. I don't want to turn them off and turn it into an argument because I'll lose. I'll win the battle but lose the war. Okay, I'll prove my point and then lose my customer. So I got to figure out a nice way to explain to them my cost of the truck, the tools, the insurance, my gas bill, my electric bill, my rent. All that goes into the cost of that motor. And I try to sell them to quit looking at the box, the motor, and the value that we provide. You don't have heat, okay? By the time we leave, you're going to have heat. What's that worth to you? Have it done properly, skillfully, and safely.
mhm. Now, when it looks like you definitely have chosen a certain specific niche when you first starting out to grow the business, when did you first realize that strategy of finding those unique homes that have unique problems? Because it doesn't sound like you were just like at first starting out like solving cookie cutter problems. It sounded like you were you loved the Rubik's Cube of digging into a unique home with unique problems that you could solve those problems. Tell us about when did you first know that strategy was something that was going to be a key part of what Foley does?
Well, that's what really prompted me to start my business because one thing I really enjoyed doing, I call them the architect-driven Taj Mahals, the big custom homes. And I liked them because of the challenge of not just installing the system, but you got to start from scratch with a blank piece of paper, a blank canvas, and it allows you to be creative, to design a system that fits your client's needs. And those jobs require a lot of time, a lot of foreplanning, a lot of um, time to plan it out. And I didn't have that time at Arlington Heating. So that's what that prompted me to start my own company. And they're unique, but they also have present challenges. You got to deal not just with the homeowner. Now you got an architect, you got a builder, you got a designer, you got a landscape architect. You got to keep all those people happy. And to play in that sandbox, you got to deal with that. I'll give you an example. We might go into a boiler room and spend a whole day piping a wall.
Mhm.
Architect comes in and says, you know what? Changed our mind. That wall's going to be 8 feet over there. Cut all that and move it. And they didn't say do it for free. They gladly pay for it, but nobody likes to do things twice.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a challenge. You can fight that and you won't get in the next job, or you can accommodate their requests. And you got to wear kid gloves. You got to be the mechanical contractor that can do the work, but also have to wear the kid gloves to deal with the different the architects, the homeowners that want to change things.
Mhm.
It's a unique sandbox to play in.
It really is. And now, would you say, Dan, that this has helped you with the state more of a traditional, like there's other homes like normal bungalows or, standard McMansions, we call them, like the kind of like the traditional two-story, 2,500 square. How did that, the tough jobs like that, those digging into those unique projects help you now serve the other people that just have normal houses, would you say? How would that has that impacted the quality of the whole company? And is that tide risen all the ships, as they say?
Yes and no. On one side, it gives the client the confidence to know that we can do the work. If we can do this job, they know I can do that job. But
Hmm.
also, what I learned on my website was showcasing all those big custom homes that scared some of my clients away. They said, "Well,
Hmm.
I can't afford this guy. Look at this, $30 million, $40 million home. I live in just a regular tract house in the suburb. I can't afford these guys." And I didn't realize that was an unintended consequences. I didn't realize it turned some customers off until some of my older customers mentioned that. So now we try to be more balanced in what we do because that's not all my work. We still do regular service calls, change outs, replacement, even remodels, additions. We do all of that. So I need to make sure in our marketing and our communications with our clients, I understand that's just part of what we do. That's not all of what we do. And that, yes, the regular working Joe can afford us on a job.
And that's the biggest thing is that it's approachable, yet the quality and the workmanship that you brought to those bigger projects apply to every project. It sounds like you don't tell your guys to turn on and turn off the quality. It sounds like to me. Does that sound right?
Correct. No, same level, whether it's putting in a humidifier or building a Taj Mahal.
That's the standard that you set there with the employees. The employees, is that one of the elements of the culture standard? What are some of the values that you have at Foley that you'd like your clients or your anybody who wants to ever work here? What are some of the things that you can tell us about Foley that are some of the values you live by that are kind of like the granite foundation, if you will, of this company?
Yeah, so part of it is that first I had some of the best teachers, so I learned how to do it the right way. Okay, I knew how to do it, and I physically did it. Okay, I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. I actually did the work. I had turned the wrenches, I put in boilers, cut gas pipes. So I knew how I wanted to do it.
Hmm.
That said, I need to share that with my employees, even my old line employees that have been with me for 20 years, even the new hire. I need to communicate that with them that I'll only accept it a certain way, one way.
Hmm.
And the best, we've never been the low cost provider. And I make that clear. We're not the cheapest. When you hire a tax accountant, when you hire a lawyer, when you go to your doctor, you want the lowest cost provider for this? I don't, and I don't pay for that. So my clients, I make that clear to them. If you want the low cost provider, we're not it. If you want the best, we're happy to accommodate that. And I need to make sure we deliver that.
So, what does it take for you at Foley Mechanical? Because it sounds like you have a very high standard, and that, like you said, there's a good part of it, which is that, you just do the job once and it's done, which is much easier than doing it twice or three times like a lot of companies do. But you do it right the first time. How does that, tell me about the strategy or the when you do hire people or when you find people, what's service strategies have been crucial for you to build a high performing team like you have? What are some of the things you do
Well,
there to build a team? Tell us about that.
Joe, I wish I could do better there. We do our best. And what I found the hard way is trying to hire somebody that you think you can just put in a truck and go to it. That's no way to do it. I've brought in some guys. I brought in particular one guy that did have all the technical skills, but he
Hmm.
couldn't get along with anybody. He was a cancer in my company. And after fighting it for a year, I cut him loose and he was good. He was skilled.
Hmm.
But the customers didn't like him, and my employees didn't like him. My office staff didn't like him because he was very abrasive. And I knew that going in, but I was desperate. But I realize now it doesn't matter how desperate you are. I'm a contrast with that with a young kid. I'm calling by name, Giovanni. I hired him 7 years ago. Young kid. He was probably 18 or 19 as a truck driver, parts runner. I mean, he would go to my house and cut my grass sometimes.
Hmm.
Now I've taken him under my wing. He had the right attitude, skill level. He didn't know anything when I hired, didn't have any mechanical skills.
Hmm.
We trained him. I took him under my wing, put him with some of my senior techs, and he's probably my most skilled tech now because he's young. Some of my techs are in their 60s. They can't get into crawl holes and attics.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
he's young. He's very athletic. He can get into tight spaces. Customers love him. And if you said name your number one service tech right now, I would name Giovanni. And again, 7 years ago, he knew nothing. And I would rather take someone with the right attitude and right personality and train him versus bringing someone through the door that supposedly knows everything already and putting them in a truck. I learned that lesson the hard way.
Hmm.
And I
So
wish I had 10 more of them. I'd hire them immediately, 10 more like
Right.
Giovanni.
So good people and then training good people is a better way than finding trained people that you got to try and make them into good people. That's it's hard to turn
Yeah.
somebody from a normal person into somebody who's really good with other people and stuff like
It,
that. Uh,
what it takes, Joe, like anything else, roll up your sleeves and go to work. But I got lazy and I wanted somebody that came through the door already ready to go. And I don't think that exists. Okay. I don't think you can. You got to bring them in, teach them how you want things done, teach them the company culture, and they have the right attitudes. They got to have the right heart to do the work the right way. And that's what you can't teach somebody. And if you expect someone to come to the door ready to work tomorrow, that's just unrealistic. And I've tried time and time again, and it never works out for me.
Yeah. Well, about Service MVP, we teach people how to a certain customer service experience. So tell us a little bit about what a customer can expect from the experience with the strategy and experience for growing this business in terms of the way you're diagnosing, the way you provide solutions, the amount of how you're spending time in their home. What could just to demystify that or to see that customers can understand what can somebody expect from a service provider when the Foley mechanical experience? What can a client expect from that?
Well, expect first off that again, we're not the lowest cost provider. You're going to have to pay for that level, but you need to educate the customer so they understand. They're not just going to write you a blank check just because you said you're the best. You need to show them every step of the way, by your skill level, by the way you treat them, by the way you treat their home, the respect you give them, and then ask for the sale. But you can't just walk in the door and say, well, this is it, take it or leave it. And by the way, we're not the cheapest guy in town. You're not going to get the job. So it's a
Hmm.
matter of educating the client and making them aware of what your skill level is, not just telling them, showing them. And so many of my clients have been my clients for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But as we all know, this is a transient area. People move. You can't rely on your customer yesterday. They'll be there tomorrow. So we've got to constantly grow and bring in new clients and teach them what we're capable of doing, make them aware of what we're capable of doing and seeing the value in what we do. And that's an everyday job because if you sit down and wait for it to come to you, you won't be in business tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that have a strategy of how many calls can I do today? I need more calls. And other companies, I think, on the low end, there's companies who do way too many calls and they just fix the small problem and just keep moving on. And there's other companies that say, you know what, I'm not a clock watcher. I'm going to find the problem. I'm going to find what caused the problem too. Where does Foley register on that range of providers? More of the temporary fix, or more of the just get out of there fast as you can, or would you say let's find the problem and what caused it more? So where would you say you fall there?
Well, I can tell you where we are now is I'd schedule no more than three, maybe four calls a day per tech, but that's not because I'm smarter than anybody else. I learned the hard way. When I used to think more was better, we would jam six, seven calls, eight calls a day. And two things, your technicians wore out. Okay, I can replace a customer tomorrow. My technicians are worth their weight in gold. I can't replace them as quickly as I can replace a customer. Keep them happy first. And seven or eight calls a day and pushing and pushing and pushing was no way to treat your service techs. That's number one. Number two, they were rushing, so we were getting callbacks. Okay, and I would jump on them over that, and I'd realize in their face that they're looking at me like, hey, boss, you push me, push me, push me. This is what you get. You can't have both. And so I've learned that the hard way. The other thing they would do is they would just fix the unique problem. Maybe it was just a contactor that was buzzing, fix the contactor and leave. It left the 20-year-old AC unit in the backyard. And that was my fault, not their fault. Okay. Because they knew if they didn't get going to the next call, they weren't going to be home for dinner that night. And that was happening far too often. So now we pared it way back. Give them time with I do two calls in the morning, one in the afternoon. So they know that. So if they get into something and they got to do a major repair or have to sit down and assess what's involved with replacing a unit, they've got the time to do that. No, they're not going to get penalized by having to work till midnight to do that. Now, what happens, as you know, in this business, come June or July when it hits 100 degrees, you got to do more than three calls a day. You
Hmm.
can't. So I'm a small company. I've got 19 employees. We did about 5 million last year.
Hmm.
I've got two guys that do nothing but service. That's all they do. I've got two more that help out. They run my install crews. They're a little older. One's about 50, the other one's 68, but they can catch a call or two. If I ran them eight calls a day, I'd run them into the grave. They can't do it, but they can catch some rollover. So when we get hot, we can still take care of our customers. And I got one junior tech that can do minor repairs. At least I can get somebody there and get him help if he needs it. So I got a total of five that can do calls. So they know if they get tied up on something or they need to spend an hour writing up a proposal for a client, they're not going to have to work all day long.
Yeah,
But
I
I
mean,
learned that the hard way. I call that my tuition. I learned that the hard way.
yeah, we have to put a pay our dues there, right? And sometimes
Hmm.
you have to pay to you have to pay to get your education, whether it's School of Hard Knocks or actual education. I agree with that.
And I've paid.
Dan, tell me about the balance of efficiency versus service, because efficiency is the thing that makes people want to just put their head down and not talk to customers and just work on the equipment. If anybody just had to work on equipment only, it would be out in and out pretty quick. But then there's the part where you're dealing with people. How much time do you allow consumers or clients in that area to communicate with your text? Do you expect, is that something that you desire, or something that you just wish your guys didn't have to talk to clients? Tell us more about the relationship between you and your clients with your people. How important is that?
No, my technicians are personable, so that they can talk to the clients and deal with them. But I would say it's more client dependent because I got some clients who we've done work for years, and they just open the door and go up to their office and say, "Let me know when you're done." They don't want to, and I'm not going to push them. If that's what they want, then
Yeah.
we'll do that. I've got other clients that want to follow my tech, watch what they're doing, converse with them, and I'm fine with that too. I don't ever say that you can't do this, or it's their house. They can do what they want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say it's client dependent, and if they want to, converse with my technician and discuss it with them, at times I'll say for myself when I ran service calls, there were times where I was pressured. Maybe I didn't quite understand what was going on, and I needed my full focus on the boiler in front of me, or I was, catch it on fire, blow the house up.
Hmm.
So I tell the client, Mr. Smith, I'm going to get your heat back on, but I need my full focus on what I'm doing here because this could be dangerous. Can you
Hmm.
give me 15 minutes, 30 minutes? I know you want to know what's going on. I know you're anxious because you have no heat. Give me 15 or 30 minutes to think this through so I can get your heat back on. And usually that because I don't do well when someone start looking over my shoulders.
I
That's
get.
just my own personality.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I got another technician, Ron, that will talk to you all day long. That's what he likes. So it's technician dependent and it's customer dependent. Sometimes you need the customer there so you can explain to them what's going on. Other times you need to focus on what the problem is. You haven't resolved it yet, and talking to the client it's going to take focus away from what the task is at hand. So again, it depends on the situation. I've done it both ways.
Yeah. So what keeps after all the years you've been doing this, what keeps you motivated in this industry, and what part of this work really matters to you the most, would you say?
Well, it's a great question because I love what I do. I get up every morning at 4:20 and I go to work. The only thing that's limiting now is I'll be 60 in May. So I've been doing this for 40 years. I used to be able to do it 10, 12, 14 hours a day. My body doesn't allow that anymore. So I try to use my time judiciously. The other thing is you can't just work all day long at exclusion of everything else. So I've learned that lesson the hard way
Hmm.
as well. My wife and I just bought a house down in Key West. We go down there 5 or 6 times a year, and I've learned to be able to run my company from my laptop or my cell phone because I can't work 365 days like I used to. And I'm not exaggerating. There were times where literally I did work that. So I'm changing my focus to try to a more balanced. But I will say this: I have no interest in selling my company. I've been approached by purchasers, both private equity and just other bigger companies that want to roll me in because of our skill level and our expertise. But I have no intention to do that. Everyone asks, "What's your exit strategy?" At this point, I don't have one. I hope I can do this for at least 10 more years, maybe 15 more years. One of my mentors at Arlington Heating, Wooly Croker, he worked till he was 84 years old. And to the day he died, he worked. Now, I'm not sure I want to do that, but I have no desire. I'm not looking at an exit strategy or putting pieces in place so that I can get out. I love what I do. This is what I do. This is what I'm good at doing, and I enjoy doing it. That said, I can't do it like I used to when I was 35 years old.
Yeah, is that, I have the same philosophy too. I don't know, people ask, Joe, you ready to wrap it up? I'm like, heck no, I love what I do. Why would I? This is the best part of my life. Why would I give it up? Dan, let me ask you a question. Would you say if somebody was going to be starting a business like this today, what is the most important skill for people who own a service business today, would you say?
Understanding your cost and understanding the business side of it. I
Mm,
thought my fear when I started my company was I was going to come run across a technical problem, a boiler I couldn't fix, a furnace I couldn't fix, and leave somebody without heat or without air conditioning. That was my fear. Okay. That
mm,
has never come to fruition. Certainly, we've had callbacks, we've had stuff we needed help on, but the technical problems can get resolved easily. Okay. This is one year, this is early on when we sat down. I thought I was doing okay, but by the time we factored in some things I didn't realize, I'm an S corporation and some taxes that I owed, I worked a whole year. And I probably worked at least 6 days a week, if not more. And my net income was minus $300,000.
mm,
That was an eye opener for me. I was sick to my stomach. That was probably my second or third year in, and I realized I had no clue what I was doing running a business. I could fix your boiler, I could fix your air conditioner, I could fix your furnace. I had no idea what to charge, how to charge, and to cover my costs of doing business. And I worked a whole year for minus three. I lost $300,000.
mm. I mean,
And that,
it sounds like it's such a parallel. I had the same thing. I was like $471,000 in debt. You probably read in the book already.
Mhm.
I think there's something about that though that makes if you get through something like that and you get to the other side, I think there's a certain determination and resolve that definitely it sounds like you and I share that type of determination and resolve together. Dan, I guess they always say a good podcast starts on time, but a great one ends on time. So right now I'm going to wrap this up. Just where can listeners connect with you? As a customer or client, or even just learn more about working or partnering with you and learning from you and getting some of the experience you got, how can people get a hold of you to be able to do that?
so you can go to my website, foleymechanical.com. My contact page is on there with my cell number, address, email. Feel free to contact me anytime. And most of my clients have my cell number. I'm not afraid to give that out because we're confident in our ability and our work. I'm not afraid to duck after we put an installation in that it's not going to work. I know it's going to. So, but by all means, get in touch with me, and I'm happy to share any knowledge. And by the way, Joe, I'll add most of what I know I've learned from my fellow contractors. Some of my best friends are contractors all over the U.S. who I've met through ACCA and PHCC, and
Hmm.
they're all happy to share their knowledge. No one is provincial where they keep their cards close to their chest. They're always happy to share their knowledge with me, and I've learned so much from them. As such, I'm happy to share any knowledge that I can with any of my fellow contractors or customers.
That's exactly what I think I love to do. I love to pay it back. Dan, that was a great conversation. Again, his my guest's name is Dan Foley from Foley Mechanical in Herndon, Virginia. Really appreciate having you on the show, Dan. Thank you.
Likewise, Joe. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone who's listening to this, for sticking with us till the end. If you did gain value from today's episode, we'd love to have you leave a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you know someone in the service industry or anyone looking to scale their career or business, send this episode their way. And if you take one key insight from today, just put it into action and let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear about your progress. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see everyone here who's listening on the next episode of the Home Service Heartbeat podcast. Thank you, everyone.